started. Let's get this thing going. What do you say? Started. Let's get this thing going.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, welcome everybody. We'll go full screen on the co-host here. And so here's the story. I was minding my business, just doing what I do normally, minding my business, and I saw an article. And this article suggests that the 20 best gun rights podcasts were in a list, and I guess I don't know where this came from. This came from some service, maybe, and I'm not sure what the service uses to decide what these are going to be. And this is it the top 20? It's the top 18 gun rights podcasts. So we'll take a look at that list. And then this article says that while they were familiar with some of them, didn't, I guess, like the way that it was ranked or the way it was came up with. So there's only 18 on the list. Some of them were not listed that they knew about, so they went to another link that we're going to take a look at that lists all podcasts, and then they came up with this an amended list of 20, and I was like, well, those are some, but that's certainly not all of them. So I figured, why be restricted to 20 when we don't have to be restricted to 20 by any means? So now we're going to flip over to the screen sharing. Unless you're looking at StreamYard, that's always creepy. We'll get rid of some of the artifacts from streaming over here, and we can bring a little puppy cam back up while he's still around. He's already wants to leave. He always hears the getting ready for the show, and then he wants to come hang out over here because he knows he gets talked to and petted, and then he knows he gets informed. So he gets pretty bored pretty quick. But I do have some peanut butter crunch treats. Give him one. Keeps them interested, just like when I had the Canadian co-host. A little treat or two keeps them interested in the show. A little spanking. So what we're going to do on this screen is bring up a thing we call Minuteman University. Let's take a moment to thank our Patreons, the people that make it possible for us to spend time on projects like this one. More importantly, on our online resources, one of those being Minuteman University. I won't get into the whole story of that, but essentially it was a project that was started by a state-level organization and abandoned. So our Patreons and I have picked it up and used it as a way to offer skills and resources to Second Amendment activists. And if everything goes according to plan, we're going to continue to do that on a ramped-up basis. Love this little puppy right here. And so let's dig into it. If we go to Minuteman University and we type in podcast, let's see what happens. The easiest way to find something is just to search for it. And we get originally here a list of 2A podcasters. Looks like you could do some work because that was a no-frills result. I can fancy that up a little bit. But as you can see, throughout the years, we've had the opportunity to do illustrations of all different kinds of podcasters out there that are in our Second Amendment realm. We have this artwork that we did for one of our publications that lists some of the podcasters at the time. We had Liberty Doll, Craig DeLuz, who's running for office right now. Of course, Masada Yu, Tony Simon, Riding Shotgun with Charlie, the Lock and Load of Patinos, the Out of Order with James Kalita, got Crump over here, John Crump from Virginia, and then the Polite Society podcast, which is Paul Lathrop, Rob Morse, and John Richardson, along with a bunch of other people. Okay, the puppy looks like he's done, so we're going to end his part of the. I guess I have to leave that there. I can make this full screen. Yeah, put the puppy down. You're going down. Okay. So this was from a project that we've done a publication and included as many podcasters that we could that were Second Amendment focused. And then continuing on with that project, of course, we got Ken Blanchard, Amanda, Kellyanne, Cheryl Todd, Dan Todd. Aaron did a podcast for a moment or two. Dan Laws does a radio show, which is kind of a podcast. Mike Woodland did a podcast for a minute. If you call the Reload podcast, then Steve is on there. Rebecca Schmoy, I guess, had a podcast for a bit, so I put her on here. Rachel Malone, I don't know if she's in the picture anymore. Nina used to work with Antonia, did a great podcast for briefly in Colorado, and that disappeared when Antonia booked out of there. Edgar does a podcast, Guns for Everyone, or has done them from the past. Antonia, again, was in that brief one and then booked out of there. And Liberty Doll Show, if you consider that a podcast, is a podcast. But this is a brief summary of them, and what we're going to do today is, first I'm going to jump over here and log into the website. And once I do that, we will start compiling a list from these different sources of the current Second Amendment, gun-related and Second Amendment-related podcasts that are out there. So one of the questions that comes up when you think about these topics, gun-related, Second Amendment-related podcasts, right? What's more important? Which has more value? Which is there a difference in such and such? So if I can quit logging in and get back over here, what we're going to just do is start a new page for now, and we'll see how that goes. But just to give us a blank drawing board, we're going to start with a blank page over here on Minuteman University, and we're going to attempt to dig in and get a more interesting list of all the podcasters that are out there. So the original thing started with this list from the FeedSpot. I don't know what FeedSpot is, but we're looking at it. Gun rights podcasts. Here's the 20 best gun rights podcasts. So I think someone went in here and typed in gun rights podcast, and this is what came up. Or they do some center random. What did you just do? They do some kind of random summaries like this of different topics, maybe? I'm not sure where this came from, but I know this is what we started with. So, Gun Lawyer, America's Gun Lawyer, never heard of it. Somebody from New Jersey, I guess. 35 minutes of a summary of their whole thing and one episode a week. Right? Live to Shoot. Second Amendment topics and news. Doesn't say where this one's defending our Second Amendment rights. 10 minutes. Is that really a podcast? The Gold Podcast, the gun owners actually got a second out of Massachusetts. One episode. They've got their Facebook following, 70 people and 24 people. It's not a very big podcast. Then you've got the Canadian pro-gun radio podcast, CCFR. And that's a great YouTube channel, keeping us up to date on the horrible stuff that's happening in Canada. Barometer, Canary, Ambassador, what you want to consider our neighbors to the north. We have a very large land border with Canada. We're essentially a relationship like very few countries have, so we can ignore them or we can understand that they're essentially like a big California out there. Then we got Gun Talk, Tom Grisham, and then we've got the Gun Guy podcast. Guy Relford, Second Amendment attorney. So another attorney podcast. And then Come and Talk It out of Austin, Texas, Michael Cargill. So we know that one. Munitions podcast. And then Gun Radio Utah. 648 followers, 3 episodes a month. Okay. Arms Room Radio. That's Mike from Florida. Bearing Arms. And I think that's it. I don't know. Pincus, and then Canadian Range Nut, and NFA Talk. This is a talk show keeping you up to date with current, and that's another one, Canada. Then something here, Gary on the Guns. 1000 on Facebook. Gun Politics from Columbus, Ohio. Americans Firearms Association. Then the gunblog.ca, Canada's gun rights podcast. So there's quite a few Canadian ones in there. Then we can go 19 to 148, and then they want you to email you. So that's where this whole thing started from. I don't think I'm going to necessarily grab that list because I haven't heard of everything, and I think the main issue that the author of this article had was that those results, what came up on this FeedSpot page, are random. I mean, they're not very well known. It's certainly not like the top podcasts fighting for the top 20 spots there. It's just kind of a hodgepodge. Is that what you said? So we're going to take a look at a thing called Listen Notes. I've logged into it, but I've searched around on it, and I may have reached my limit. So we're going to have to start going backwards here for now, because I don't know how many of these pages I'm going to be able to see before I can't see them anymore. But I noticed that our show is in here as whatever, 15.28. Is that the ranking? Oh, LS. I don't know what this is. We'll figure out what the ranking is, but I'm in this top 10%, 465 episodes. Looks like our last one was 4 months ago. We visit gun shops and gun shows. We tour firearms museums, join our conversation. Tweet like 95. Average length, 88 minutes. So it's interesting. Daily. And since March of 2016, 465 episodes. So I think that's what we'll start doing. And we'll use us as a gauge since we know us. And this is our show. And dang, do I have a way to put tables in here? I forgot. There's a way to put tables in here, but I'm not thinking of it right now. So there's the show. Oh crap, there's a link on there already. So we'll kill the link. We'll get the data out here. 465 episodes, it's saying. So that's how many episodes are on our feed. Now we've probably got more than that because we have 1,500 episodes. So that means that whatever the feed is we're using, which is probably what it is, the feed that we're using can only have a threshold of, like, let's say 500 or 450 or something. So it's only going to push the number that it can handle, even though there are more. So if we wanted to spend more money or get a bigger capacity feed or something, we could do that, but it's not necessary. Having 400 is plenty of our back episodes. It also lets some people know that we do them daily, so there's quite a few there. But at 400 episodes daily, that's only like a year's worth of episodes going back. So we could probably go in there and chop off some of our episodes that aren't as good, and just keep the best of up there. I don't know, but that's what we do. So then it says our average length is 88 minutes, so maybe we'll put that in the list also. And then we'll put some of this stuff about, we should probably get a table or something, but then we can do this top 10%. Let's see what happens when we click on this top 10%. Does it give us anything? Okay, so this tells us that our listen score and our global rank. Okay, so a listen score is a metric that shows estimated popularity of this podcast compared to other podcasts that are based on a feed, like ours is, in the world on a scale from 0 to 100. The higher the number, the more popular, calculated from first and third-party data, updated monthly. So ours is 28 out of 100. That means it's like, 72 something. Wait, no, yeah, 72 things are better than ours. So it's not like we're great, but we have a number at least. And then global rank. This podcast is one of the top 10% most popular shows out of the 3 million podcasts globally. So there's about 3,500,000 podcasts globally, allegedly. And our show is in the top 10% out of those, ranked by the estimated popularity score. So whatever that is. Use podcast API and blah, blah, blah to catch. So essentially, you can grab some of these numbers. So if you were watching this on a regular, you wouldn't have to do this. You could set up some automation, some information there saying there. So essentially, now we've got something to go on. Everything we can look at can be above or beyond our show. What else am I missing? When it started, how many episodes? Oh, I guess I should write down this rank. Copy that. And I may try to figure out how to get a table going and see what kind of response we get with people watching live. This just becomes boring. I'll end it, make it fancier on my own. Or we'll just keep going with the way it is and chat with people as they show up to talk about those topics. This wasn't planned. We're just doing this in the middle of the day. So if you're listening to this in the future, you see what I'm talking about. We're not doing something that's all planned out and fancy. All right, so now we have gun, will travel. And I don't know if these are necessarily in any kind of order. I think they are. So this is, well, not really, because this is in the top 2.5%. So what do they know? I guess it's because I searched for gun, putting them in some kind of order about the relevance of the term gun. See how it's highlighted in red? That's an indication of how they're sorting this. So if I would have typed in firearm, for example, I wouldn't have found Daily Gun Show because it wouldn't have shown up as often. Somewhere in the description, it probably says firearm, like Firearms Museums right there. But I say gun way more often. So one of the ways you get it to search is by using keywords, not necessarily by rank. So let's see if we can change that. Let's see if we can. We've got it set to podcast. Let's see if we can sort it, filter by update frequency, language, search, audio length, categories, region. It doesn't look like I can do anything other than frequency or number of episodes or age. I can't do it by their number of percents or whatever, by equivalent like popularity or whatever that would be called. Categories, episodes, yeah, nothing about that, and then I can only sort it by date or relevance. So that's interesting. So now we've got Gun Freedom Radio here in the top 5%, and these are all included in that article. Gun Experiment, top 5%. Let's see, so Gun Guy Podcast, we saw that one. The first one, Gun Radio Utah, we saw that one, the first one. Now here's one called The Gun Rack by the Sonora Desert Institute. That's a school. So they're doing a podcast, and that one looks like it's also in the top 10% with the ranking of 27. So that's right near us with the ranking of 28 and in the top 10. Now we've got Gun Freedom Radio with a ranking of 32, so quite a bit above us. So we'll try them up here. And that makes them in the top 5%. Let's see if I can put both of these things on top of each other, next to each other. So we've got Gun Freedom Radio, and then we'll have 560 episodes since August 2015. See, this is the format that makes this stuff boring. That's why you do this kind of stuff while you're listening to some of these podcasts instead of podcasting while you're doing it, because then you see what happens on the screen. What's happening. And there's probably faster ways to do it, but that's how I got it this time. So now that puts Gun Freedom Radio a little bit ahead of us, actually quite a bit ahead of us, depending on we'll see what kind of spreads we get here. Now I'm going to try going back and see if that cookies me out. Okay, but it didn't. So now we get that Gun Lawyer one, which was number one on the other one, and it's in the top 1.5%. That's fine. So let's go ahead and copy that again, and it's in the top 1.5. So we'll put it higher, but we're going to copy without formatting and see what happens. Gives us a little time. And then 140 episodes since October of 2020. So I don't think longevity is necessarily a factor. Let me see if I do it that way, and then if I do paste without formatting, a little bit less. What am I missing? I guess that's everything we were going to grab. Yeah. So that's then at the 1.5% up here with a 42 rating. So it looks like we go from a 28 to a 42, going from the 10% to the 1%. So you're not going to get much higher than a 42, it looks like. So our spectrum isn't necessarily 1 to 100. It might be 1 to 42, perhaps. But let's keep going. We got Slam Fire Radio, a Canadian one. Here's the question. I'll leave this to the live people. Should we list the Canadian stuff or leave them hang? Let's see. You have some people joining us live. Let me take a minute to say hey. Got Weston out there. I read through that article. Can't wait to hear my thoughts. Thanks. Let me know what your thoughts are as we chat here. Crabby Turtles out there. Welcome. Roy Munson out there. And Mike White. Good afternoon. DJ joining us. Good evening. And I think that's everybody. So everybody that said something at least. Thanks for dropping some links out there, DJ. We're going about 20 minutes in at this point, and we're just getting our bearings here. We're looking at the source of this thing is called Listen Notes, and it's like a website with all different kinds of information, and we're using it to kind of list and compare the different gun and Second Amendment podcasts that are out here. And now the question is, do we include the Canadian stuff? I mean, I wouldn't have put it in the list, but I'll put it at the bottom or on a second page. I don't know if I'll do it right this moment, but it does seem like there's at least 5 or 6 Canadian ones, and it might be interesting to see, 1, how many of them there are, 2, what they're focused on. There's different things they do in Canada. 3, like how successful they are, where they rank, but then how they compare to ours as well. Are they bigger, are they smaller? Do people pay more attention to podcasts in Canada? All that stuff might be interesting, but not necessarily time for all of that today. But those are the things we're going to try to figure out about our U.S. ones. So now let's see, after that Canadian one called Slam Fire, you got the Gun Collective podcast from 2017, 188 episodes in the 1.5. So 1.5 with a ranking of 42. I'm putting them underneath the gun layer because I have no underneath the gun layer here. And then zap. Now we'll go up here and grab this part and copy and paste without formatting right here so that we can get this accomplished a little quicker. The good news when you do these things, you figure out the fastest way to accomplish it essentially, at least eventually, I should say. So that didn't quite work. So let's see. No, that did not quite work. I needed to move this up here. I guess it kind of shifted. Okay. So with 188 episodes, they either don't do them very often or they pull them down. They're up there. Gun Freedom Radio with 560. And I guess do that. Ours is that way. Oh, I didn't do average length. Do we got average length? I think we did 65 minutes. Where'd I put that? I put that underneath the date. And that can be interesting because someone who might be deciding to do a podcast might be curious to see like this one, the Gun Lawyer. So far, the most popular podcast, 33-minute average length. So these aren't necessarily marathon shows. And I guess I'm scared to click that. To Gun Freedom Radio, average length 53 minutes. So Gun Freedom Radio, 53 minutes. All right, so going back to the second page in the search, I'm kind of going backwards. I guess I could go to the beginning since it looks like it's letting me quite dangerously. So now we're on page 1 of the search. Yes. So I typed in gun to listen notes, and it came up with 1,133 or 1,113 results. So I'll put that at the top of the page here just for kind of information in the future. Here's a link to the page that we are pulling this from. And let's see, search, date. Let's get rid of all of this and just get the search by gun. And that's what we were looking for. And we got 3,000 or 1,000 results. Yeah, and boom. So now we know what we're looking at here, and here are the results. We'll put a horizontal line there to get started, and I'll start to bold each of the projects. So we're starting off with gun talk in the top 0.5%. So that now takes over as the top one. Let's see, get rid of that. So I can undo and paste without formatting. I'll get rid of all of that. Give us a little more less time to fiddle with this stuff. And now we go in and get 3,569 episodes since 2006. I guess that's been around for a while. And then average length of that one, 41 minutes. Interesting. So now we can see that the top one is a 41-minute show that's been around since 2006 with a lot of episodes. Smoking Gun, 27 episodes since 2022. It's in the top 1%. Okay, it says because the smoking gun could be anything: a bouquet of flowers, documentary, science, true crime. It's bullshit. It's not about guns. It is a gun thing only because it has gun in the title. So that's what that other article was talking about, and I don't really care about those. Gun Funny is one of Dragon Man's daughters, the one that doesn't hang out at the Dragon Man's. She does her own podcast, and it's called Gun Funny. And that one is in the top 0.5%. It's been since 2017 with 314 episodes. And average length of 64 minutes. Interesting. So now we can see that even more than that gun lawyer by quite a bit. A score of 49, where the gun lawyer had a 42. Gun Talk has a 57. So Dave has been able to get the most accomplished podcast out there. She was recently on board with the whole Colorado challenge to their assault weapons ban and shit, right? So I'm just saying, this article that we're talking about that got me going here, does it even have Gun Funny in here? I don't know why, but you know what I'm saying, like of Dragon Man's daughter doing basically the top gun podcast, except for the one that's been around since 2006. It's essentially a TV show. It's kind of a big deal. All right, so next is Gun Dog It Yourself. What is that? DIY gun dog trainers and enthusiasts pertaining to hunting and living with dogs. So what do you think? Where do you put a gun dog podcast? People that are hunters with dogs. So birds, I guess, maybe raccoons or pigs or something. People do hunt different things with dogs. I mean, even bears and stuff, but probably not. This is probably birds. So do you count that as a thing? You know, are they out there keeping people aware? Does anybody know? Looks like average length of 68 minutes. I wonder if I could do this by a drag instead of, oh man, look at it. I just saved myself some time. Saved everybody some time, right? So let's see if we can do the same here. Do this and a quick drag. Not ideal. Oh no, definitely not ideal. So, go to formatting. Can I do that? Oh, this is way too much time. Nope. So, this is just going to take forever to do this. So, I don't know what goes on here. Some kind of formatting glitch. I got to do all this way. If somebody knows what I'm doing wrong here, let me know. Quit doing it. That took forever. So, Gun Dog It Yourself, a podcast since 2019 that's obtained 0.5% of number 49. So essentially what Gun Funny's been able to do in half the time with dogs. And I've been told that you're not supposed to talk about dogs. You're not supposed to have dogs around when you talk about guns. And then what's the next one? Lone Duck's Dog Chronicles. So evidently the person that gets paid quite a bit more than I do, about double what I get paid at this point, probably a little bit more than that, actually a little bit more than that probably, tells me not to do guns, dog stuff. Now there's 2 gun podcasts that are focused on gun dogging, dog gunning. So I'm just doing this for the insight. That's what I'm doing. Did this need to happen? Yeah. I don't know. Is it going to change anything? I don't know. Probably not. But at the end of this, we'll know what's the deal with podcasts and who's really in it. Maybe we can create some. Oh man, see what I did wrong there? Dang it! Look at this. This, when you're doing this kind of work, is the ultimate lose. We just got loosed right there. Oh man, look how much time I wasted doing this. Horrible. Horrible. This is the kind of stuff that the rich people pay somebody to do all this, so they don't have to waste their time doing all this. 75 minutes. So that's not a short podcast either. These people are spending some time talking about their dogs, their passion probably, keeping their communities together. I've been told that short podcasts are the way to go, but I'm looking and I'm seeing that podcasts with a rank of 57, 49, 49, 51. So technically this lone dog one, there's no reason this shouldn't be above this one. What the hell? It's a 40, wait, what was it? 52? So it's up above Gun Funny. So this one with a 51, I guess, Lone Duck's Gun Dog Chronicles, is since 2018 is now the second most whatever thing. So I don't know why they didn't, why they ranked him this way. I don't know. Didn't know she was Dragon Man's daughter. Yep, has 2 daughters. Melissa runs the place, and Ava doesn't. She hangs out doing her thing. Gun for Hire, did you cover that? It didn't come up yet, so it'll come up eventually. But right now we're going in order of this company called Listen Notes, which pays attention to all podcasts, and they're telling us that of all the podcasts that exist, somewhere we saw that there's 300. Let's go back to the bottom here. It'll tell us. Right? Oh, where did it tell us that? Somewhere it told us there's 300 and something number of podcasts. Where was that number? Where do we see that number? We just seen that number that there was 300 and some thousand podcasts. I should have wrote that down. Maybe it was over here. So there's 100,000 listed up over here. I think somewhere in here it said something about. Maybe it wasn't in here. Oh, you know what? Maybe it was in one of those hover things that I was hovering over. Is that what it was? That's where it was. When I hovered over here, it would say, what is a listen score? And then it says, what is a global rank out of the 3,100 and whatever? This is your listen score. So when that thing says you're in the top 5%, there's what we're talking about. Boom. Oops. Let's do paste without formatting all the time. Boom. 315, well, 3 million podcasts out there. And these are in the top 5. Excuse me, top 0.5. So I don't know what that actually would be. What would 0.1 be? 9? So, I'm not trying to do the math live here. That's pretty decent. That's in the top 1%, top half of the 1% of all podcasts. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts, but there's a lot more other things out there besides these. So anyway, I'm not sure how they rank these things. But anyway, we haven't gotten to Gun for Hire either. So next up is Gun Guy Radio, and I don't know this one really at recall, but it's been around since 2013, and we're going to rank them by that 49, by that PR. So it can go here under the gun dog one, where whatever it was before, paste without formatting. Rid of all these roles. Gun Guy Radio. Does somebody know who Gun Guy Radio? It says positive firearms talk without the politics. Oh, so it's essentially dumbed down. Let's only talk about the toys. Let's only talk about the fun. And whenever it gets serious, we'll leave that to other people. There's a lot of those, and those can be pretty popular because they never have to do anything that offends anybody, and they can always just nobody ever has to challenge their opinion. So I'm not sure this one, 58 minutes, but if you're only talking about grip angles and red dots, then you win because people pay you to do it. And whatever. So I don't know if that's that kind of show. Then we got Duck Gun Podcast. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast. So since 2008, that Gun Guy Radio is in the top 0.5, so I don't know what it's doing, but it's succeeding, obviously. 0.5, it's got an LS of 49. So now this Duck Gun one is going to come in and be still on top of that Gun Lawyer from whatever. Gun Lawyer is still only a 42, and here's a Duck Podcast with a 46 rating about to take the slot in front of it. It's going to lose to Gun Guy Radio, but there we go. Oops, let's put these in without formatting. Eventually I'll remember to do that right at the end of the show. I'll do it every single time. So this one has 260 episodes, and I'm not writing the podcast person here because, one, I didn't do it, and I'm not going to go back and do it, and I don't really care who's doing this podcast. Let's see, so this would go up here. Paste without formatting, so I'll do it good this time. And then this one I think I can drag. We're going to try dragging and dropping the 60 minutes. So that sounds like a very structured show if they're able to have a 60-minute average instead of like 58 minutes or whatever. So that's a duck podcast. I'm guessing just only people shooting at ducks. There's like 6 different kind of ducks, I guess. Then we have Student of the Gun. Beginner wants a student for life. Does anybody know that one? Listen louder. I don't know what I've heard. I feel like I've heard that one before. Student of the Gun. It started in 2020 and it's got a rank of 52. So it's going to go, I don't know why these things are in the wrong order. It seems like they should be listed by their 50 or by their LS. But something with an LS of 52. So Student of the Gun, if that's talking about new gun owners in a time when there's a ton of new gun owners, that kind of seems like the secret of success, right? This one started in 2020, so start up right in the middle of the panic when the recipe is talk about the panic, talk about introduction to guns to people who've never been around a gun before. Sounds like a good recipe. And they're at the top 0.5% of all people. Come on, see what I'm doing? This is, man, see, I need to be doing something better. But this seems like a good recipe there. 67 minutes, another long one. I mean, I consider anything over 40 minutes technically a podcast, so 67 over an hour. Anybody listen to any of these? Feel free to chime in if you're listening now. We can say something more in the future. Joel Persinger is California Gun Guy. He now covers California gun law. Well, he always has, I think. And but yeah, Gun Guy is Gun Guy. This other guy, Gun Guy Radio. Is that him? No, Gun Guy TV is from that's what you just said. Gun Guy TV is from California. So I don't know, this might be his thing. Who knows? Some people rebrand when they go to different areas. But I'll tell you, this didn't look like his deal. Let's look that up. Does it say who is in? Do they got a website? This is one of the Firearms Radio Network ones. Doesn't see. right, so then there's Duck Gun. Then we get to Student of the Gun. Then there's Pod Yourself a Gun, a rewatch podcast. Comedians, every episode of The Sopranos. If you're not watching that. Gun and Gear Review. This is, I think, the one that Tony Simon's on. I never listened to it. It's just reviews and stuff. But top 1% of all podcasts, Gun and Gear Review. So it's a PR of 45. That puts it in just under Duck Gun and above Gun Lawyer. And I keep forgetting formatting. Right, and then Zap. And then 679 episodes since 2013, so that's doing some actual work. Some of these, are like 2 years old. How can you say that that's work when they've only been playing? I mean, they did it right, but they were only playing while they did it right. All right, so there's Gun and Gear Review podcast. I'm almost positive that's Tony, right? Tony and somebody else. We got a poll going. I'm going to go take a look at the poll. What's your opinion of gun and 2A podcasts? Either both are important for our goals, or gun podcasts offer much more reach, or 2A podcasts are much more important, or podcasts are not relevant. So essentially, do you like the gun ones? Do you like the 2A ones? Are you choosing both, or not either? Some people say neither. And flip over to here and back to here, and let's, what we should probably do? Save this once in a while. Let's see. Let me say we save this thing. So first I got to find something in here. I'll say 2A podcasts. Get my bearings. It's been a while since I've been in here. Oh my goodness. Somewhere in here it'll say 2A podcasters. We'll make it a sub of that. We'll give it a format, and then we'll publish it. And now all that work that we've added hopefully won't get lost. Okay, good. And then we'll put a gun podcasts. It's 2023. There we go. Oh, you know what? I'll gun podcast list. There we go. I almost saved that. And we'll put a link to this video. There's another way to share your stuff, people. There's how you share it. Find it first, then you highlight it, and then jam it right up in there. Paste. It'll flip in. Come on, it'll flip into a video. I thought it was going to flip into a video. Are you kidding me? So, media. No. All right. So, I guess I have it set to some old version that you can just. So what I'll do is I will grab. So it's going to be stubborn, and I'm not going to not do. I feel like on my own website is I will go to share, and I'll embed, and I'll grab that, and then we'll go back over to there. And then I'll highlight this, and I'll do that. And then I'll say some letters, and then go up here and find all the letters. And get rid of that div, and paste, and check that out. Oh, and then we'll update that. So now this page has this video at the top, and then the research that we're doing down below. And if you want, you can look at it right here. First off, why does it have such a horrible name to this page? What's up with that? Edit, and get rid of this. There we go. Now we'll update it, and we'll be the page, and now it doesn't have such a weird name. Yeah, there it is if you want to look at it. And we'll get back to work. All right, so that was the Gun and Gear Review podcast. I think that was the last one we got on here, right? Yeah, that was Tony's. And I haven't been taking images or anything either because I'll just take more time. So far out of this first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess there's 10 on a page. We're seeing a whole bunch that weren't on this original list, except for Gun Talk. And Gun Guy Radio, was that on here? Gun Guy Podcast. So we'll have to find out if Gun Guy Podcast is a thing. Student of the Gun? Oh. So they didn't list really anything. Gun and Gear Review, that's Tony Simons for crying out loud. Nope. So I just don't understand this article they got me going. Like why they would include only some people that are friends of theirs and then make it look like, oh, look what our friends are doing. There's like tons and tons and tons of other people on here. So now we see this gun lawyer again. So I already had him in here, I guess. That's why gun lawyer. Did I have gun lawyer? Yeah, I already had gun lawyer in here. And we know that that's only 33 minutes. Then we got Slam Fire, that Canadian one. No one's mentioned if we should use it. There's the Gun Collective again. So then we got Iraq Veterans thing, Gun Gripes. Did you know that's a podcast? I didn't. So now we're at a rank of 47. So a rank of 47 should go here. But what's weird is that is a, oh no, that's probably right. Yeah, that's right. So we'll put Gun Gripes here. Copy, paste without formatting. And then we'll go with, since 2011. Put those in the wrong spot. So 359 episodes since 2011. And then I can put another thing here. I'm coughing a lot. I should probably have more coffee before I started off. 25 minutes. And I think that's why a lot of people think, oh, podcasts should only be short. Because there's an example of a top 1%, been around for a long, long time, 10 years now, and it's at 25 minutes. Not on the list, of course, because it's a gun one. And although it's gun gripes, it's almost always political, something that gets them all riled up. So the next one is TFB, the Firearms blog behind the gun, and this is in the top 2%. So it's going to be down the list a bit with a rating of 38. So drop. 38 goes up here just above Gun Freedom Radio. We'll roll that one up since it hasn't been voted yet. And we'll drop down from here and put in, without formatting, we'll put in this one. It's in the top 2% now. So from 38 to 32 goes from 5% to 2%. And that's the kind of stuff that I find interesting and useful when we include everybody and not just cool people that get sponsored by the .orgs. It's fine if you're getting sponsored by the .orgs, but so we only can listen to articles that promote that stuff. So we'll put this in here and drop that up there, and 44 minutes for that. That was any faster or not. So then we get self-defense gun stories with Robert Morris. Top 1% with a rating of 47. Let's see. So up to underneath Iraqi veteran. Eric's been doing it way longer. He doesn't live in fear of everything. And then 2016, 321 episodes. There you go. 1% with a 20-minute, probably another advocate of the podcast should be short, scare people, go away. So then we get a Black Man with a Gun, 1% with a rank of 48. Oh, look at that. 43-minute podcast that doesn't scare people. Better ratings, but lower on the list. What's up with that? What's up with that? That's what I'm saying. Pacing out formatting, and we're getting this down. 681 episodes started in 2008. Think about that. 2008, a year before I was on YouTube, and I was one of the early adopters of YouTube. Ken Blanchard already had a podcast established by then, and all through this time has used it, and has been available for awareness and advocacy since. And I can guarantee you that's not a man who's using fear and exploitation to get to the top 1% of all podcasts. Shameful. Literally no excuse for this not being in the list. Gun Talk, Armed American Radio, Bearing Arms, Gun for Hire, Self-Defense Stories, CCFR, Gun Lawyer, Second Amendment, Flight Society, Firearms Trainer, Lock and Load, Gun Guide, Gun Owners, Gun Experiment, Weekly Reload, Gun Freedom Radio, Goal, Gun Radio Utah, Riding Shotgun, Eye on the Target, Arms Room Radio. The only thing on this list that's been around longer than Ken in 2008 so far is Goal. One item on that list, or wait, maybe Gun Talk. Gun Talk is pretty old. So except for Gun Talk, which hardly counts because it's a radio show, and they're counting it as a podcast. But Black Man with a Gun, and 2 books in Gunner's name, certainly. That's why I'm doing this, because let's get the record straight here. The Gun for Hire Radio podcast is a number 46. So according to the actual thing that promotes this, it should be wherever it's going to end up here, 46, right underneath Self-Defense Stories, right underneath Duck Gun, and right on top of Gun and Gear Review. So, that's where New Jersey pops in. And let's see. Oh man, why did it not do this to me? Anthony does the show from the gun shop, I believe, and has been doing that for a long time, since 2011. 799 episodes. And then, what are we going to have? 61 minutes? See, he does a thing where he does like a 1-minute summary and like whatever you want to call it, like introduction or something over on Instagram. So I tend to think that his show is short, but I guess it's an hour. Then we get Gun Owners Radio, 5%. Let's see, number 32. This is San Diego Gun Owners weekly stream of their radio show. So with a ranking of 32, they come in ranking of 32, they come in right at Gun Freedom Radio. Listen, that's interesting. It's going to be super confusing for everybody that's dyslexic because it's Gun Owners Radio and Gun Freedom Radio. The 2 gun radios are essentially next to each other on the charts. Is that a coincidence, or is that because they are essentially named the same thing? One's out of California, one's out of Arizona, but Western Arizona, right over there by California. 68 minutes, and they essentially are doing very similar, on the numbers at least, very similar sized podcasts. But Gun Owners Radio has done it in less time. It's only been around since 2017, and a lot of people could say different types of influence. All right, next up is Not Your Average Gun Girls, and again, not on the list from the thing that got me going today. So you're not going to represent females who have gotten to number 43 on the list? 43? Really? Higher than that gun lawyer guy. They were acting like was so freaking good. Here's Not Your Average Gun Girl, who's been going to AmCon since at least 2018 in Chicago when they first started going that I'm aware of. Well, when they first started going. And then 122 episodes in 2018 is when they started. Oh, what I just said, 2018. So, boom, and we've got this. Push that there, jam this up there, good. And then everything there. 35-minute, and they do definitely like a more style, more hip, and more trendy type of thing from the get-go, and encouraged other ladies to do so back in 2018. All right, so now we're going back to number 3, where we came from originally. It's where we started the whole thing on this page 3. We've been kind of working backwards, so now it's a good time to update the page, just in case there's some kind of internet glitch. I haven't numbered them, but we have, instead of 20, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And 2 or 3 have been on the list that started this whole thing. So here's what I'm saying. That's why we're doing this. I think it's worth the time. Let me know what you think. Let's see. So we got people joining us live. We got people probably listening in the future, and then a bunch of people gritting their teeth and going, burr, 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 burr. But if we count all those hunting people, then are those, burr, 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 then I don't look so good, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm looking at. I want people to know who are doing amazing work, like Not Your Average Gun Girls, top 1% of all podcasts. What do you think they're making? Are they making a appropriate amount for that podcast? I know some of these people are milking their 2% or 1.5%. Is Gun Freedom Radio getting advertising? I'm almost positive they're not. Is Gun Owners Radio getting advertising? I think they do. So that's what I'm hoping to do, is show some of these people that get into this list here, that turn out to be on this list, that they're doing a lot more than they think, potentially. So the gun experiment is the next one up here. We believe the gun is merely a tool and the person is the weapon. We want to explore different ways to make the weapon better in mind, body. I guess this is a gun one. It's in the top 5%, so we'll leave it in here. Was it in their list? Of course not. It's not one of their friends. So, wait, no, it is in here, 5%. It's one that they denoted that they don't know, I think is what I mean. Anyhow, we're putting it in here. So they are 33. So right above Gun Owners Radio, right behind that other one. There and then there, and then pull this over, grab it. 114 episodes since May of 2020. So another thing that started up with the chaos. I'm bored and frustrated during the chaos, and everybody says that there's not going to be food, or I'm stressed out, I'm going to do something, and then now, top 5% of all podcasts, 63-minute podcast, 114 episodes later. So, again, I don't know this one, if they're making any money on that or not. If they're doing good work, I'm assuming they're a training one. Sometimes those do good work. Some people hate training. You're out there thinking you're talking about training. Oh, I'm doing good work. I'm talking about training. While some people are gritting their teeth and going, we don't need people like this around our community. That's really what happens. Have Gun Will Travel story received around the gun for hire with principals Paladin. Oh, that's some kind of show about the show. Some kind of podcast about the old radio show or the old TV show. Then we get the Gun Guy podcast. Did we already get this one in here? Number 34, so probably that. That would go right here, between here and here. So the Gun Guy podcast, so this is different than, what the heck did we already have? We already had Gun Guy Radio. This is different. This one has a different score and everything. So calling yourself Gun Guy, good idea? Dumbass idea? Probably sounds good when you're talking to your grandma or something, but in reality, you go and call yourself a gun guy. It's super confusing when there's 4 or 5 podcasts with gun guy. Oh, let's get up here, get that, and then 37 minutes. Can a podcast be effective when it's half an hour long? 76 episodes since 2022, and it's the top 3% of all podcasts. So how many people started doing their projects since 2022 or before 2022? Are you upset that some guy called the Gun Guy podcast? Learn about your gun rights, the defense of Second Amendment, what's going on in the legislature, and training tips, and much more. So, okay, with the fact that some guy with 76 episodes got 33% of all podcasts, that's a pretty big jump for somebody that started last year, September of last year. It's like not even a year old, and it's in the top 3% of all podcasts. I mean, I'm not concerned that I've never heard of it because it's 10 months old. All kinds of shit that's 10 months old I don't know about, including like little babies. Baby animals are that old. But I guess a little baby horse can start running when it's a little baby. Little baby people take forever before they start running, so I guess it all kind of depends. So now we have Gun Radio Utah with a score of 30. It's a weird number, so it's going to go down here just above us, but above or below everybody else. And there's things like green. So this one, I'm going to say it sounds new. Let's find out. May of 2016. No, that's not very new. And 367 episodes. That's weekly episodes. That's a lot of work. Paste without formatting. Now it's called Gun Radio Utah. So, people in Utah are kind of like people in Texas, but they have a tinier panhandle. So, they've got issues. 41 minutes. So you can never tell what the Utah thing is. So it's either part of the Utah militia, or wait, Utah Mafia, is that what do they call themselves? Like people in Utah, or it is just happens to be labeled Utah. It's hard to say. But it says it's a radio show, so maybe it's just a talk radio show. Maybe they just call themselves. Even so, top 5%. They're beating me. They're not beating anybody else. Then you get the Sonoran Desert Institute, the Gun Rack, number 27. Still beating me. And let's have that one in here. What is this? Join us for an upbeat, exciting podcast covering all things firearms, including industry news, firearms history, and school events. So imagine what that's all about. 167 issues since 2019. Never heard of it. Heard of the school, but I've never heard of them doing a podcast. So I wonder if that's for students or if that's anybody. 31 minutes. Makes me think it's it'll be interesting to see if the ones that started in the same time all went to the short format. Maybe that's a time frame thing. Oh, there's a gizzard out there. Good evening. And Gabriel's out there. Crappy Turtle is out there. Weston is out there. DJ was out there. And Mike White was out there. Oh, Ray Munson was out there as well. So thanks to the people that are joining us. What we're doing is figuring out how many gun-related podcasts are out there, where they at, where they stack. I seen somebody create a list of 20, and it was a weird-ass hand-picked list. I didn't like it, so I wanted to do a real list. So I'm going to update this again. This is over on Minuteman University. There's a link in the chat if you want to go check it out as it's being updated. So next is the Gun Room, the Northwoods Collective, a podcast dedicated to the sporting firearms we carry in pursuit of gain. A base-level knowledge of firearms and their workings is synonymous. It sounds super boring, but it says the Gun Room, and it is in the top 2.5 with a rank of 36. So we're going to drop back down here. We're going to find where 36 is. 36 is above the Gun Guy podcast, which we don't know what that is, but then comes in. There. And then come back over here. That was from March 3rd, March 2021 with 37 episodes. Well, that's super questionable. So that means that they delete their old episodes, possibly. Some people do weird shit. Or they quit doing it like a long time ago. They only did it for 37 episodes. And those 37 episodes were so freaking epic that they got them to the top 2.5% of all podcasts. It's crazy. 49-minute long podcast, The Gun Room. Anybody ever heard of it? Then you get The Gun Podcast. Since 2022, so barely a year old this week. Wes, blah, 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 Mountaineer football with deep insight. Oh, this is some kind of stupid sports thing. Then we get us. Wow, look at us. There we are. What's our rank? Now we have a better idea of what rank's all about. We're at 28, so we're at the bottom of the list so far, but we'll see who else we're ahead of here in a second. And then we've been around since 2016. We've got something like 1,500 episodes. 400 of them are in the list here. And our time frame is 88 minutes. So then we had Have Gun Will Travel, a popular American Western television series. So that's just literally about the TV show. We're going to try to click on 4. So I can't click anymore. To see search results, please become a premium member with Super Search. Use, listen, blah, 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 premium membership. I'm already a member, but they're not letting me look at it. So, yeah, that's as much as I can find. At least we know that we're on the list, right? But there are other people on the list. So now let's go through. And that was searching for gun. Let's see what happens if we search for firearm. Let's see if they let me keep searching or not. All right, so they let me keep searching. But look what we got here. Different list, right? Search by relevance or date. You know, we can't filter by rank or anything. So it's about the best we can do. But we got Concealed Carry Inc., Firearms Trainer Podcast since 2019 with a rank of 38. What? So that wasn't even in here before. We got to jump them up here on top of the Gun Room. So Firearms Trainers Podcast for American Firearm Instructors. I don't know what that is, so we'll just be pasting that without formatting. And then that's 538 episodes since 2019. So they've been doing it. Or is that 300? It might be 338. I'll know when I put it over here. Yeah, 338, but still. That's a lot of episodes. And then 38-minute episodes. So again, 2019, 38 episodes. So what's up with that? Is that just any podcast that got created in that era decided that 38, 40 minutes, half an hour was a good time, and they just stuck with it? Or is it just a coincidence that all the 2019 podcasts have that same deal? So now let's get that rank. I don't know why I didn't pull the rank, but this guy's in the top 2% of all podcasts talking to trainers. I don't know how many people would expect that to happen. All right, so, and that one's been around for a couple of years. Now we got the Firearms blog, Behind the Gun. I thought we already had that. Oh, that's because it's searching for two different things. Yeah. We got Gun Guy Radio again. Now here's one, Off Duty Podcast. And this is number 37, top 2.5%. A podcast that discusses the carrying of a firearm from both the perspective of a duty law enforcement and average concealed carrier. Oh, it's nice being an average concealed carrier. Average concealed carriers out there. So what did we say? That was 37. So that goes up here to between that Firearms podcast one we just did in Gun Room. this one has been around since July of 2020, so it's going on 3 years with 100 episodes. Knowing whether or not these are still all in business or not, like if they're still producing, I don't know if this thing determines that or not. And then these are another, well, this is a 56 minute. So this was already in 2020. They figured out that you can do it as long as you want. For a long time, podcasts cost a lot of money to distribute. So there was an incentive to make it 20 minutes because it costs a lot of money to make it more than 20 minutes. What was that? Oh, something just made a noise, but I think it was this website. So next we have modern self-protection. I feel like I've seen that one before. What's beeping? Someone's beeping. Okay. So modern self-protection, anyone heard of that one? I feel like I've seen that logo before. Modern self-protection is a number 42, so top 1.5% of all. That takes it up above the gun collective and above the gun lawyer, just below not your average gun girls. Oh, let's see, they've started in 2019, only have 95 episodes, so that's usually an indication that they're deleting them, or they just don't do them very often at all. And 33 minutes. Anybody else hear that beeping? What's that beeping? Oh, come on. That's beeping a lot more. Are we all doing that thing? What's this? This can't be. This can't be. It's got to be this. I'm saying. All right, so. All right, get back to modern self-protection, going ballistic. Former special operations sniper, best-selling firearm industry executive, discussing all things firearm. It's in the top 0.5% though, so I guess I have to choose it. I've never heard of this. Has anyone ever heard of this before? Hey, Mr. Knives is out there. We'll have to do a special edition on just the top chocolate podcasts, which there's probably quite a bit of. So this is number 51. How does that even happen? This might be one of the top things that we've even had in here. Yeah, look at this. Wow. This is one of the top things in the list, and I've never heard of it before. Anybody? Going Ballistic with Ryan Kleckner. I hope it's gun related. Since 2016, 104 episodes. How does something with just 104 episodes maintain a rank of 0.5% of all podcasts? How good are those episodes? 49 minutes. Is that like famous interviews? Is that super interesting news or something? All right, so now in the top 3%, we get Armed Scholar. So remember that guy from YouTube? What would we say? Number 34. So dropping. Huge on YouTube, right? Getting a lot of promotion, a lot of help on YouTube. Down here next to Gun Guy Podcast. On the podcast side. Number 34, top 3%, just 57 episodes since 21. So he must not be posting everything, or maybe he is. Maybe he's deleting stuff. I don't know how people do their stuff. 24 minutes. So is that the entire YouTube video, maybe? So it's just dropping YouTube videos? Hard to say. I don't know if that guy does a special podcast session or something. Then we get violating community guidelines. from firearms sales on Facebook to AI influencers, deep fakes. So that's something else. Raven Wing Limited, the conspiracy of ravens. Achieve your firearms related performance goals. So our purpose in training and in our podcast is to help you to achieve your firearm related performance goals, education. The Raven Wing Limited, the conspiracy of ravens. I don't know what that is, but look at what we found here. See this? Top 10% Clover Tech podcast, page 1 of searching for firearms. So he's got an LS of 23. Right here. Top 10% of all podcasts, 459 episodes since 2017. And average runtime 68 minutes. So his new ones are shorter than that, so you know that his old ones are long. Interesting. So there's Clover Tech. Didn't see that on the gun one because Clover Tech doesn't put gun in his descriptions anywhere. Bum, bum, bum. Next is the Big Text Ordnance podcast. Has anybody heard of this one? I heard another beep. What's that beep? This one is top 5% with a rating of 33. So how do they put these in these orders? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So the gun experiment and arms scholar. So we'll put that here. There, like this. And then 54 episodes since August of 2022. So as you can see, there's no key, there's no like number of episodes, there's no like duration of podcast, there's no length of time on the clock, there's nothing singular no singular characteristic that indicates a podcast is going to make money. There's lots of things that can come up to that. So now we get to one called Armed and Nerded. That's only been around since 2023. It doesn't have any rank, so no rank at all. I don't know why it's listed. No rank. Then we get Riding Shotgun with Charlie, which we haven't got on the list yet. And this is the first time we're seeing it on the list, coming up organically or whatever. So now that has a number of 26. So coming in. How did I do this? Put the gun rack in the wrong place. So 26 puts him in right between me and Clovertac. This one out. Top 10% of all, and 181 episodes since 2017. All right, and then his average is 43 minutes. All right, so now I should bring this guy with 27 onto the right side of me with 28, and then 26 and 23. So then we got Survival and Basic Badass Podcast. And then we get, although top 1%, I guess I have to include 1%. Guns are a crucial aspect of self-defense and personal security, and we explore various firearms types and their uses. So is that something that just happens to say they talk about guns, or do they actually? No. So we're going to put it in here anyway. So that's a number 45. Top 1% of all podcasts, and they still only rank at 45. It's weird. I guess that makes sense. All these other 47s and 46s and 46s. all same thing, 45, 1%. There's a 43 at 1%. So I guess the 1% has a spectrum or a range. All right, so this one has 411 episodes since 2014. Wow, I guess they've been around for a while. I know since 2016, it's still been around for a little while. 42-minute episodes. I can't even imagine talking about survival and basic badass shit for 42 minutes every week for that long. You hear that beeping? Or am I crazy? I'm hearing it beeping. Firearms Nation. Podcasts let people know who use firearms, talk about or compete with firearms. Top 1%. So another 45. Firearms Nation podcast. Oh, this is from Canada, right? Sports, culture. That one I believe is from Canada. Pretty sure that's Canada. All right, so now we get This Week in Guns on number 48 with a 1%. So that'll go up. Black man with a gun, and This Week in Guns will go right after that. And then this is 600 episodes since 2013. And 73 million episodes. Then we got We Like Shooting, their main podcast, coming in at the top 0.5% with the number 53 rating. Copy. So up to 53. They're going to be between Student of the Gun and Gun Talk. So they're just the second largest. They just became the second largest podcast and completely ignored on the other one. Second largest gun podcast that we know at this point. And look at how far low in the list they are over here. So that's 1,001. That's like weekly podcasts since 2013. Top 0.5 and then 105 minute average. Almost a 2-hour average time. And the second most popular podcast next to a radio show that's been on since 2006. All right. So then Armed, Black, and Ambitious since 2022 in the top 10. So we're going to go to 27. The goal to empower and encourage Black people not only in America but globally on the importance of self-defense with the firearm and why it's vital. So this is a number 27. Scrolling. That's right, Jamie and Clover again. The gun rack. So we'll put it on top of the gun rack. This one has only been around since, let's say, 22. So 11 episodes since 22. Let's undo. And theirs is a 52-minute podcast. All right, so next would be the 45th Parallel. Jeremy Jr. and Cameron and Grace get together once a week to provide marriage subjects. Well, they named it too weird, so I'm not including it. It doesn't have any ranking. Then we get Firearms Radio Network, all shows in the top. So I don't know if that is like a redo of all the top shows, probably. We won't count that since that's a redo. All right, the Gun Guy podcast, we had that guy before. The Crossed Rifles, since 2002, 9 episodes, no rating. I'm not going to put the stuff in with no rating. AR-15 podcast, top 0.5%. Also not included in the list over here that started this whole thing. So the AR-15 podcast, Modern Sporting Rifle Radio, number 52. That's going to make them one of the top podcasts again. 52. Put some at guns. If anyone here likes to do another gun. And what do we got? 598 episodes since February of 2013. And 65 minutes. Red, Blue, and Brady, brought to you by one of the oldest gun violence prevention organizations, discusses current events and shares. So top 2% a 36 rating, and that's an anti-gun. So would you put that in the list? 36, just to see where. Let's see where that fits. A 36 fits in the Gun Room and the Gun Guy podcast right in there. Not putting them in there. But the Overwatch Long Range Shooting, no score, 19 episodes. Reformed and Reloaded, a weekly podcast bringing scripture to bear on the issues, news, and politics of the firearm culture. So this is a religious one. Reformed and Reloaded. That's number 34. Oh, that's right where I am. So 34, top 5%. So it's going to go down here under this one. And that one has just 70 episodes since 2014. So I'm guessing that's been long abandoned. It just has placement. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just do one every once in a while. 43 minutes though. Interesting. I do have another one with Armed and Lutheran or something. Then there's the Reloading podcast, top 1% of all podcasts. Looks like it's a number 45 here on the list. So let's see, since 2014, I'll give it between these two. What's wrong with you, puppy? What are you making that noise for? Is that the puppy making that beeping noise? What are you beeping? Paste in there, and then what do we got going on? This one's 69 minutes. All right, and then after the Reloading, you got Guns Magazine's podcast in the top 1.5 at a number 40. Again, just whack. Why are they putting them in this order? Who the heck knows? Just super whack. So I guess 40 should go lower, lower, lower. I'm thinking 40 is just below this one. Just twist. No, you're going to go up. So sorry, I'm going this way. 38, 38, 42, 42, 38. So it goes right here. It's formatting the Guns Magazine podcast. So it has the entire weight of a publisher behind it. 196 episodes since 2019. So Guns Magazine had all the time in the world to do podcasts. They just started in 2019. Got to 196 posts and got themselves up to the 1.5% of all the internet, all podcasts at least. So with 196 episodes, you can be in the top 1.5. Interesting. There's Gun Funny again, one of the top ones, and the lower ones in this list. Then I get zapped out. So now I'm going to put second. And hit enter. Second Amendment Radio, top 10%. Each week, Second Amendment Radio talks about anything and everything that impacts and passes. I never heard of it. I don't know what it is. And it's a 27, so it's way down here by us. I'll put it in there. I don't know who they are, but if it's a focus on just the Second Amendment, what's up with that? Second Amendment Radio, and it is not, of course, on their list. So the top 10% of all podcasts, and it's Second Amendment, and it is a rank 27. So the same as the gun rack. Oops. Second Amendment Radio. Has anybody heard of this one? Looks like they've got 377 episodes since 2018, so they've been doing it for a little while. Episodes, and they're a 32-minute podcast. All right, so now we get Second Amendment Foundation's Polite Society podcast at a ranking of 37 with the top 2%. So what is this? 37. Jump, 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 jump. 36, 37, 38. So they're ranked podcast. And let's see, 60 episodes since 2020. What's up with that? Delete them or something, I guess. That's up with that. 60 episodes. They do one episode every single day. So I don't know what's up with that. 74 minutes. That's whack. So I don't know. Maybe they just keep long ones up there. Not sure, but let's keep it real. Second Amendment Foundation brings in $20-something million a year, and there's their top 2% rank one. That's interesting that theirs is at a top 2%, while the off-duty is at a top 2.5 with the same LS. Interesting. 60 episodes at 103. You would think that, numbers. Now we have Gun TV coming in at 35 with the top 3%. So 35 goes just try to get a big number. So just barely below Second Amendment Foundation and the gun room. All right, and then get rid of that, and get rid of that, get rid of this, and then figure out he's got 79 episodes since 2019. He also must be deleting them or something. Sometimes people can only afford to keep so many of them in their whatever system they're using. Let's see, and then you've got 34-minute episodes. So that's Joel from California. Finally got the gun guy that we recognize, not the other gun guys. Then we got Vortex Nation, interesting, in the top 5%, 0.5%. I'm going to put that in here, even though it's probably not talking about too much. It is an interesting one that we have in here. So they're at number 56. So they're trying to get to 100 We don't have very many over 50 at all. And this just became the second largest podcast in our list. So a hunting podcast by an optic manufacturer is the second most viewed, second highest, second biggest, second, whatever you want to call it, of all the gun things out there. We've been around with 582 episodes since 2018. So 5 years old, and they do 47-minute episodes. Then you got your gun talk, which is the top one there. And then you got Second Amendment Patriots Show, top 10%, number 24, Second Amendment Patriots Show. Dedicated to seeing that the Second Amendment to the Constitution remains a vital part of our everyday lives. And they got just 8 episodes since 2018, so that's not very many. We'll put them down here. Under, I don't know, they go above. So I'm going to drop down here, jump up here, go, and then episodes since 2018. Oh, I did this wrong. Undo. So that's way better. And we're talking 13-minute episodes. That's crazy weird. So that would be interesting to find out what's going on with that channel. Gun Freedom Radio in number 32. And we already have them in here, I believe. Wait, do we? No, we don't. No, yeah, we do. Gun Freedom. Yeah. Locked and Loaded with Bill Friday. Do we have that one in here? Number 36. Number 35. Number 36. No, we don't. So the Gun Room, and then 21, 12. So we'll go with there. Paste about it. Click like this. Get rid of that check mark. Let's see. 9,276 episodes. Am I reading that right? Without formatting. So definitely number of podcasts isn't going to help you at all. And 56 minutes. Wow. So that is the top 2.5% with an outrageous amount of podcast episodes. 9,000 episodes, almost 10,000 episodes, and it doesn't even affect rating almost at all. That's interesting. Anybody listen to any of these? Then we get the Second Amendment with Ben C. No Rating. The Goal podcast. Gun owners of the official podcast of Gun Owners Action League of Massachusetts. And let's take that one. Top 5% at a number 34. So they're right here, right above the Gun Guy podcast. Right above the Arms Scholar. And that's a state level organization. So what do you think? Is it shameful that a state level organization isn't higher on the list? Is it commendable that a state level organization is even on the list, since this is the first of that to happen? Is there some other reaction to an organization that's been around online longer than I have to be at number 34 in the top 5%? And then we know that they do a 53-minute podcast. Interesting. All right, so now we're going to go to the second page of Second Amendment and see what shows up. Armed Scholar, we already got him in here. The Gun Guy podcast, already got that. Keep and Bear Radio, top 5%. It's a number 31. I don't think we have that one in here. So there it goes right here. And this is Keep and Bear since 2021. So another baby podcast. Let's put that in here. Paste around formatting. It's already at a LS of 31, so a link, whatever size of 31. Huge channel compared to some of them, most of them. And what are we talking? 100 episodes and 35-minute episodes. Interesting. Keep and Bear. Then we have Firing Line Radio Show. What is that? Firing Line brings you cutting edge in all things Second Amendment to equip you with what you need to be successful. Anybody ever heard of that? Firing Line Radio Show. So it is at number 29. So it goes right here underneath Gun Radio Utah, right above us. And we have 383 episodes since 2015. Oh, see, I did that bad again. Undo, and paste this is way faster. Paste without formatting, and then I'll have one delete. All right, and then go in here and 48-minute episodes. So interesting. Firing Line Radio Show. All right, Armed Lutheran. I heard of that one. That one is in the Self-Defense Radio Network, I think. So this one is a rank of 34. Oh, look at that. Right next to Reformed and Reloaded. When did they start? Yeah, Reformed and Reloaded started 2 years before them, and they're now just catching up. So that's the two religious ones that I know of next to each other. Interesting. So this one has 388 episodes since 2016, where the other one had 70 episodes since 14. Super interesting. And these are 46-minute episodes. Then we have Gun Owners Radio, the out of California, and I think we already have them in here, number 32. Yep, right there. And then the Bullet, that doesn't even have a rating. So it says it was updated 2 days ago. 233 episodes since 2022, and the Bullet isn't even ranked. But it says it's in here since January of 2022, so they must have just started their shit again. So active self-promotion, we'll grab that one. Is that one listed over here? Oh, that one's listed over here. That's good. So this is 45. 45. So it goes right before they beat up some girls. Go like this. And top 1%, number 45, 103 episodes since 2021. Well, I'm guessing they do weird shit to their stats, because I'm guessing they have more than that. And those are 57 minutes of episode. So there we know where they are in the list. Top 1%. So people that are like, I'm in the top 1% of podcasts. Did you know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 podcasts ahead of you when you're at the top 1%? Or does it sound like you're the top number one shit because you're number 1%? Who Moved My Freedom podcast is Hank Strange. That one is a number 27. So we'll put that one right above Riding Shotgun with Charlie. That is 999 episodes since 2018. And 128 minutes. That's a lot. Next one is Critical Thinking Second Amendment. No reviews, and then I can't go any further. Or can I? Oh, it's letting me go further. So that's interesting. It let me go to. Oh, I was already on the second page. I thought it was on the third page. Okay, so it's letting me go to the third page. Evolution Security Podcast. It's got a ranking. The hosts discuss multiple angles of our Second Amendment history and culture. Evolution Security. Man, that sounds like somebody who says Second Amendment, it means guns. Sports, education, and training. I'm not counting it. I'm sick of putting stuff in here that isn't right. So there's Clover again, number 23. Yep, top 10%. Save the Second podcast is also 27 and a top 10%. 27 is actually pretty high, so move it up to above second. Above that, put it here. So that was people attempting to eliminate something about the National Rifle Association for just a few years. And that had such interest that it gained them to that level, and then they abandoned it for whatever reasons. It wasn't successful. It wasn't what they wanted. It didn't do what they wanted. They didn't get what they wanted, but they quit doing it, that's for sure. And they got pretty good results. Oh, and then we got 2A cops, and that showed up under Second Amendment because of the 2A. So top 10%, number 28. So that's even a little bit higher. That's right by us, Daily Gun Show. So we're going to put them under us so we feel better. And then, boom. Put this in here. So where are they? They are at 13 episodes since 2020. So that's why I put them lower, because they started after us, but also they kicked our ass because they're doing it with 13 episodes and 2 years, where it took us almost 10 years to get to here. So then there's our 25-minute podcast. And that's 2 cops from California that retired and started doing a YouTube channel, and then they just recently blew up because of all the hatred of cops. Those people come in and gave them hateful comments and blew up their channel. So they made them viral by hating them. It's kind of crazy. So we got John Crump in here finally, but no grading. That's sad to see. Where to put him in here. Wild and Uncut with Christy Titus. Enjoying personal talks with our U.S. and international guests. I don't know what that is. Sling and Lead, no rating. Why is there a Second Amendment? Don't listen to this. Please listen to something else. Okay. The 2A News and Conservative, The Rundown. The Rundown is the Second Amendment. It's hosted by Craig somebody. Oh, you know what this is? This is the show with Craig and Mike, the Arms Room Radio Mike and Craig DeLuz. And this was their show that they did for 359 episodes since 21, but it's not ranked. That sucks. There's a couple of them here, Crump and this one. They're going to put them in here because they need to be in here. We just don't know what their rank are. So we'll put them down here under Clover Cat. So if anybody's like, Clover is the bottom, like, no, there's channels that have got massive national level support that ain't even near podcast without formatting. There's the rundown, 300 and something episodes. This is run by FPC, right? Or at least supported by FPC. And there it is set there, 34 minutes, no ranking. And then additionally, you got Chrome working for GOA, or for a minute he worked for GOA. I don't know what he does now. And then, I should do it that way. No ranking. I don't know why he's not getting ranking. What's up with that? But 240 episodes since 2020. 3 years on the clock, almost 100 episodes a year. And you'd think with all this Facebook and stuff, he would know how to. Maybe he's just not paying attention enough on the podcasts. So I can just drag this one. 68 minutes. We'll highlight this and just put an NA for their stats. So that's interesting. Slinging lead. Why is there a second? It's the annual Nathan show. I don't know what that is. This is where it will time me out. So now I'll go up here and do second, like this. I don't care. I'll keep searching as long as it lets me search. Live to shoot, defending our Second Amendment rights. That was that first one that doesn't have any rank, so I don't know where to put that. Second Amendment by Civilian Tactical, no rank. Civics 101, top 0.1%. Why does the Second Amendment really say? Why does the Senate have so much power? Civics 101, so that's just some weird shit. Second Amendment Radio by Audacity. Did we already put this one in here? Number 27. Let's find it. It should be right here somewhere. 27. Second Amendment Radio. The Second is for Everyone podcast. Let's get that up in here. Top 5% of all podcasts. Number 33. Nice. And is that over here? No. Fuck. It's not even in that list that started me. See, that's why I had to do this. Like, come on, man. You don't have Second is for Everyone in here? What is it? Number 33? Up, 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 up. Up, right underneath of Armed Lutheran. Boom. Second is for Everyone. And then we've got 75 episodes since 2018. So we did that with 75 episodes. And then those are, let's see, 31 or 81? 81? All the best shows are 81. Oops, what did I do? There we go. So that's why I'm glad I went to the 2A, because I would have, our Second Amendment, because I would have missed Tony's right there. So then we got Tyler Pratt unlisted, Lock and Load with Brady, got that. Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit, top 1%, number 45. Don't know. Oh, this is another Iraqi veteran one. Matt, who runs Ballistic and servicing two-line content creators, branding and merchandising company, is also passionate. I don't know how this is, but it's Manga 44, so it's a podcast. Is that Eric or is that not Eric? I don't know. So I'll put that here, just above Not Your Average Gun Girls. I'll put it here, like that. Like that, like this. See how fast I'm doing this? Boom. Almost had it going how fast until they started saying how fast it was. Then that. One, delete, there, add. Nope. Like this. Come on. Be realistic. That, and then 61 minutes. I like this. Boom. How fast I go. Super fast. That's how boring it is to update websites. So that's why I do it when I'm listening to things normally. All right, so now we get bearing arms. Did we even have this in here before? Cam and Company, number 48, top 1%. I don't think I do. So we're going to copy that. And number 48. Oh, I think I hear the mail. I got to go this way. I'm looking to see if the mail. Move, 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 move. Good boy. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. All right, everybody that got stuff this weekend, your stuff is in the mail. Now there's a lesbian talking to my mail lady. I don't know what's going on out there. I guess it's legal, technically. Right. You can tell she's a lesbian because she has red hair. Like fake red hair, not actual red hair. Hair dyed red. I'm assuming that's a lesbian issue. So we'll go to bearing arms. Okay. Number 48. All right, so we're going to put just below this weekend guns. Interesting. You hear a lot about this guy. Cam and Company, this being a radio show or whatever. And of course, number 3 on the list over here. Like if all of a sudden this show was so good that it was number 3 on the list. 565 episodes. Since 2020, just 2 years ago, 4 years ago. And then 24-minute episodes. Definitely some of the shortest ones on the list. All right, so yeah, according to the one that got me started on this whole thing, that would have been number 3 in reality. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 are ahead of it. Let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic. Top 1% of the internet, of podcasts, I should say. It's not like you're the only ones there. You're one of dozens. U.S. Law Shield, nothing. So that's interesting. You'd think that something as big as the national level insurance, well, liability, personal liability protection, would be larger. So we'll just shove them down here with the less than clovers. We're going to call them less than clovers because clovers ranking in the list, and all these people are less than that. And we'll put this one at the bottom with 18 episodes since 2018. We're not really trying that. Hey, you may not have, you may be able to tell, but I brought this Snorty up here. Snorty Snortenson. It's back up on the table. I looked at the mail and he got all excited, so he came over. Chicago Mike is out there. C&T, good evening. All right, so next up, I'm going to put the little dude monitor down here so nobody can monitor the little dude. If he's happy or not with what we're doing. All right, so what's next? Bearing Arms, U.S. Law Shield, next. So this was searching for Second Amendment under the podcast from a place called Listening Notes. The Dirty Civilian podcast in the top 2.5%. Real gritty conversations with subject matter experts in the Second Amendment, self-sustainment, and firearms industry. That sounds like somebody who uses gun as a word for Second Amendment. Right? So, number 36, where would that go? If I should put them in there or not. They show up under Second Amendment. Dirty Civilian. top 2.5. Guess I'll put them in there. All right, so this goes in at number 36, 34, 35, 36. I'll put them underneath here. So just a little bit above Gun Guy TV. Never heard of them before. If anybody's heard of any of these, feel free to let us know what you think of them or what. Maybe somebody's watching this in the future and thinks, nothing, doesn't even think about one of these, but then because of something you mentioned, now all of a sudden, I will check that show. Now I will decide to watch that. And this was a 104-minute podcast. Interesting. Then we have Gun for Hire, number 46. I think we already had that in this possible in here. Number 46, Gun for Hire. Rapid Fire, finally. No ranking. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is upsetting. The puppy's upset. I am upset. This is upsetting. Oh my goodness. Literally one of the better things out there. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Oh my. Look how many times I got to rub this puppy. All right, so we're scrolling down and down and down and down and down and down and down, and just underneath the clover, we're going to definitely put it at the top of the less than clover list. Rapid Fire Radio. So that's too bad. They are not even making. They still have formatting. And then 139 episodes since 21. Hey, buddy, you gotta make all these noises? All these noises necessary? Every single one of them is necessary? I feel like he might be breathing right into the microphone. I feel like there's a potential that he's breathing right into the microphone in there. Ugh, because I can smell it. You're hearing it, but I'm breathing this. I'm living this. So you're going back down, buddy. You're going down. I gave him a number of kisses and got rid of him. So now we will get back to here and get rid of the little dog picture. So, upsetting, frustrating news. Rapid Fire Radio over here again. It's not ranking. That is a travesty. Travesty. So, we started with that one. Second Amendment Ranch. Pre-recorded Watch Us Live on the Second Amendment Ranch Facebook. Notice it doesn't rank, so I'm not putting it in here. Range Minded Podcast. Top 10, number 26. I'm going to put it in here. Just so we have some lower ones to keep that side of the list in check. Their awareness, so to speak. So that was just under Writing Shotgun with Charlie. That is the podcast dedicated to the Second Amendment. We discuss current events, news from the firearms community. So again, we call in Second Amendment guns, same thing. Conflating those two is sort of the people that go around saying magazine clip, don't care, get all mad if you say anything about it. Oh, you're not allowed to say magazine clip. You're not allowed to clarify that. But you are supposed to clarify assault weapon. Like, that's where the line's drawn. That's where the invisible line is. So don't say everything right. Just say some things right. And you can get mad if you say the wrong things wrong. All right, so there's that. And never heard of it before. Range Minded Podcast. We kind of need if they said where these things were from, but I guess that's too much to ask. Shouse in the house. I am a First and Second Amendment absolutist. No ranking though. 15-minute Second Amendment podcast. That sounds pretty cool. No ranking though. Daily Gun Show. Top 10%. Number 28. My gun website's 465 episodes. Under the Second Amendment. You know it. Then we get Straight Shooting Radio, aka Second Amendment University. And no, there's a ranking. Number 24. So we'll put that in the list. 24 goes right here. And 205 5 episodes since 21. Blaming the dog and all this breathing over there for why I can't click on stuff over here. So shooting straight radio. And those are 49-minute conversations. So we've got one more page here to check out under Second Amendment. Go ahead and update that as we're clicking to the third page. Am I quirking anybody? Is this getting in the way of anything right now? I'm just doing this because that list that I found irked me. It really, really, really bothered me because it had only a couple of their friends on the list, and they were trying to make it seem like, or at least the list made it seem like there was only a few people doing this, and these people that were doing it were so good. When in reality, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things, and we all rank where we rank, and that's the reality. So, civilian carry radio, yet another from a Firearms Radio Network, and this one is a 41. And this is such a high ranker, but then it didn't even show up on our list until the third page of a Second Amendment search for civilian carry radio. So I guess that's because they probably don't even talk about guns or anything. They just talk about carry and rights and safety and that kind of shit. So they probably standing behind fear so much that they never even talk about rights, and or the other way around, they only talk about rights. I don't know. It says Civilian Carry Radio, a podcast that focuses on the importance of the Second Amendment, firearm safety, education, training, and mindset. So it's hard to know with some of these. But we know that there's 172 episodes since 2017, so they've been around for a while. I know I've seen them on the network for a long time. 172 episodes, I mean, that's not that many, but whatever. That's everything. Some people only do stuff weekly, right? So then this, and what are those? 81-minute podcasts. So they rank really high. They're really high on this list. Over guns, there's only like 10 higher than it, but it still didn't even show up in a search until third page of Second Amendment search, which is super interesting to me. So top ranking things don't necessarily show up first. You can rank for something technically, but then not show up other ways. Anyway, Gary on Guns on Demand, no ranking. That's one of those lawyers, I think. Utah Gun Guy Show, no ranking. Tennessee Firearms Association, no ranking. I feel like I'm going to put them in the less than Clover list over here, though, just because Tennessee Firearms Association sounds like something I might want to have in there. It's a 501c4 issue advocacy organization. The problem is I don't know who runs them, but Tennessee needs all the help it can get at the moment, which is an important thing, but it also means every fly-by-night is going to come out and say, I'm here for Tennessee. When in reality, they're here to exploit off of the money that's going to be made with that campaign. So 52 episodes since 2021, so we're going to err in the side of just in case it's valid. We're going to list them here, but not, we're not trying to say what they are. So there's that, and there's that. But they're in the 2A section, so now they're in the 2A list. 2 Bear Arms, I like that. The number 2 Bear Arms. Covering a huge array of topics related to the shooting, sports, hunting, Second Amendment topics, firearms industry, and general accessories. Dang, that's pretty cool. I've never heard of 2 Bears. Oh, it's 2 Bear Arms Gun Shop. Oh, that's got to put it in here because I got it. So scroll. Less than Clover. Down at the bottom, give them a zap, give them a flip and a flap, and 27 episodes since 2020. It's a lot for a gun shop. You never know what's going on with a gun shop unless they start making money right away. That means they're just taking time to do some of this stuff. Let's not forget our friends down at Oh, did I already forget the name of the place? Our friends down at I'm almost there, but I'm not remembering it. Our friends in Louisiana who did the show from their shop for years and years. And I can't remember the name. That's messed up. That is messed up. Minnesota Gun Report, top 10%, number 29. That's good to see. See what that's all about. Minnesota gun rights, politics, and Second Amendment updates. So we almost missed that one, but that's in ranking. Ranking of a 29. It's a nice rank. It's higher than us. So that'll go right underneath the firing line. Actually, that'll go at the top of the firing line radio show. Since it is it's a rights thing, not just a state thing, but it's a states' rights thing. 72 episodes since 2016. And how long are those shows? 19 minutes. What? 19-minute podcast. That's right. Of course, they don't rank very high, but they rank higher than us. Guardians of the Second Amendment, no rank. Constitutional Patriot Podcast, no rank. Brother in Armed Fully Automatic Podcast, no rank. And it won't go any further. So now I'm just going to type in 2A and see what happens. Because guess what? I can keep typing in stuff and it'll show me stuff. And I'm going to keep doing that until I find out I'm exhausted. So we found something in foreign language. Then we got 2A Lifestyle, a podcast about everything and anything to do with the 2A lifestyle. And then it says sports. So what do you think that is? That sounds like, I don't know, but it's in the top 5% with a rating of 30. So, the kids, they're going to come up with their own terms for stuff. So, LS of 30 puts right behind Gun Radio Utah, right in front of that Minnesota gun report that we just put in. So, here we go. Based around formatting, 2A lifestyle. Oh, there's Chris from Sub4O throwing in the 12-month thingy. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So, our channel members and our patrons are the people that make it possible for us to spend time on stuff like this. Because probably there's no need to. I don't really think this stuff matters. This is just kind of insight, like, hey, look, this is interesting. Some people might find some use out of it, but most people are just going to be like, maybe that's interesting. So, again, I appreciate to be able to put the time into this, because in the big scheme of things, a few people are very much going to find this interesting. So this one is New Hampshire 2A podcast. How awesome is that? Number 26, 10% of all the podcasts, and it's just for New Hampshire. That's crazy cool. So 26 is Riding Shotgun with Charlie. We'll put them in right after Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Click. Paste without formatting. Nice. And then what do they got? They have 184 podcasts since 2020. It's a decent amount of effort for New Hampshire. I'm hoping that maybe we'll talk about more than New Hampshire, but if they're not, it'll be commendable. And then 58 to 56 minutes. Nice. And I wouldn't have even found this. This is the first time we're finding it, except that I searched for 2A. Crazy as that. So there's that big a difference between 2A and Second Amendment. So think of that when you're naming your stuff. If you're naming it 2A, well, you're missing Second Amendment. If you name it Second Amendment, you're missing everything 2A. So this says a better way 2A podcast. American gun community more diverse, more polarized than ever. Nuance is dying. Jordan and Andrew are extraordinarily unqualified to reflect. So this one is a better way 2A in the top 5%. So that's a number 30. That puts it we're going by this LS number, the link something number that this website is using to determine the rank and the order of all these different podcasts. So that's putting it somewhere around Gun Radio Utah, 2A Lifestyle that we just posted here. And we'll put them in here right after. And it's called A Better Way 2A. I feel like I've heard of it before. and it is 39 podcasts since March of last year. Anybody help me out on that one? I think I remember that one. 11 minutes. Right, then we got the 2A Procast, Tacticon Armament, podcast about the 2A and all the 2A goodies, talking about all things life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Yeah, no ranking, I'm not putting that in here. V2A podcasting, no idea what that is. P2A, no idea what that is. Second is for everyone. We found that one again. Tony's podcast. Then we got Deep Dive 2A, I don't know what that is. Stories you would hear at a dive bar. Something else. Class 2A Bloggist. High School Association 2A Football. Rundown of 2A News and Concern. That's the rundown. 2A Cast, 2A's podcast. Well, it's in Spanish. 2A All Day, your source for breakdowns of the 2A news as well as exciting discussions. No ranking. 2A Talk and Tactical, no ranking. Sabar Prince 2A show, or everything 2A and 3D. So that's something else. Something, and then UK Radiology, probably not what we're looking for. We'll get to the third page of 2A. I mean, this will be the last one I search for. Defendant 2A with Jason. Community at large to legally arm, legally train, and legally defend. Know your rights. No ranking. Con Armor, that is D2A, 2A Warrior. In this podcast, I'll be documenting my journey to become a 7-figure firearms instructor and the many failures and lessons I've learned along the way. A 7-figure firearms instructor. So there's somebody that's looking at this as a money-making opportunity, and this is going to be their journey to making 7 figures, a $1 million firearms. That's pretty much what every successful firearms instructor has thought of. How much money can I document and I'll make along the way, and that'll secure my reputation. 2A for today. Your right to keep and bear arms protected. Constitution, no ranking though. 2 guys walk into a bar. The Kyle something. Battle line. All G. 2A and something else. That's it. That's all we got. So I don't know how long this has been. We're going to find out. 2 hours. Holy shit. So that's a 2-hour podcast, and we'll update this list one more time. And now we'll just go look at this list from the outside and see what we came up with. All right, so that's where we found it. What happened to my video at the top here? I think this video at the top. Let's get rid of all this. Visual. Just put a bunch of letters right here. We'll go grab. Go to share. And then embed. Forget this. Copy that. That. And go over to text. And highlight all this. This one. Just all of that. And paste. Go back over here. And there's my thing. I'll update. Then we'll hit this page. And now we get the video at the front of the page. Hopefully we didn't lose anything else and all that. But let's dig in. So this is what we're looking at here. And what we've come up with in 2 hours. So I saw an article and it said, hey, here's 20 podcasts and these are so good. Look at how good they're doing. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. But you're not talking about anybody but your friends here. People that are supportive. Oh, that isn't up here the whole time. You're only talking about your friends here. You're not talking about anybody important that's else. You're only talking about the important people you know. I guess I should say it that way. So we got Gun Talk as the top podcast with 3,500 episodes and a huge rank of 57. So the ranking goes from 1 to 100, and 57 is the top gun or Second Amendment rank that we know of. Vortex is coming in with number 2.
with a rank of 56. We Like Shooting has a rank of 53, so that's literally the top podcast. This is a radio show, this is a company, and this is an actual podcast. So the biggest podcast is We Like Shooting, not even mentioned in the list. Then is Student of the Gun Radio, also not mentioned in the other list. I don't know why. With a ranking of 52. Next is AR-15 podcast, again, not listed in the list, with a ranking of 52. Lone Duck's Gun Dog Chronicles, with a ranking of 51, not listed at all in any lists. Going Ballistic, whatever that is, not listed in any list. Gun Funny, again, not listed anywhere. Rank of 49. And Gun Dog It Yourself, rank of 49. Gun Guy Radio. Still not listed here in their list. We've got Black Man with a Gun, Ken Blanchard Show, top 1% with a ranking of 48. This Week in Guns with a ranking of 48, not listed. The Bearing Arms, they suggest that was the third highest one, when in reality, they say Armed American Radio is ahead here. We didn't even see Armed American Radio in there in the list. So I don't know how they're saying that. So then after, what was it? After Bearing Arms, you got Iraqi Veteran with a 47, still top 1%. Self-Defense Gun Stories, which is number 4, nowhere near Gun for Hire, which is down here at 46, so different ranking, conflated in the list. I didn't put California in here. Then there's this Duck Gun podcast, Guns and Gear Review. I think that's Tony. The Reloading podcast. A lot of these are from the Firearms Radio Network and completely ignored, and everything from Firearms Radio is completely ignored. Survival and Basic Badass, never heard of them, but they're standing there at the 1%. Active Self-Promotion, not listed in the list, which is fine. Then you got Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit. No idea what that is, but listed in the top 1%. Not Your Average Gun Girls. Again, no reason why that shouldn't be listed in the big one. Modern Self-Protection podcast. Don't know what that is, but there you go. You know what I'm not seeing in here now that we're saying about it? The other half of Charlie Cook's Riding Shotgun with Charlie, Meet the Pressers. I didn't see Meet the Pressers in here anywhere. Finally, Gun Lawyer, one of the ones they suggest is one of the top. But again, we've seen how many we've seen ahead of this. The Gun Collective, whatever. Civilian Carry Radio, whatever that is. Guns Magazine, and nothing about Guns Magazine in this list that got me going. The Firearms Blog, another online blog thing, not listed anywhere. Wait, nope, not listed anywhere. Firearms Trainers podcast, that one is listed in their list. Roy is saying, I think the Life Liberty one is an Iraqi veteran one. I think so. I also believe that, because looking at the cartoon, it looks like a cartoon of Eric in there. And it's the same cartoon that he does on other channels and stuff. So I think it's that. All right, so they have this Firearms Trainer podcast in there at 2%. But again, we saw how many things were above this. The Off Duty podcast, a cop one. Second Amendment's Polite Society is at 2%. Locked and Loaded is at 2.5. The Gun Room, whatever that is, at 2.5. The Dirty Civilian podcast at 2.5. There's a lot of them here at the 2.5. Gun Guy TV from California, Joel, at 3%. And then you got the Goal podcast, Gun Owners Action League at 5%. Then you got the Gun Guy podcast. So Gun Guy TV, the Gun Guy podcast, both at 3%. They're different things. So they just, one of them named each other after each other. Then you got the Armed Scholar podcast, Reformed and Reloaded, Armed Lutheran, 2 religious focused podcasts right at the same area. The second is For Everyone, 2A for E podcast. Again, not listed in the original thing that got me going. And this is one of the reasons I got going, because what the heck are you going to include a list of Second Amendment focused podcasts and not have Tony Simons in here? It's ridiculous. If not because you don't, like if it didn't meet whatever threshold you came up with or whatever barrier to entry, then at least include it because it's literally about the thing you're talking about and not some adjacent talk about grip angles and red dots and only talk about Second Amendment when they feel like it, occasionally when they feel like it's going to give them ratings or when it's obligatory and they have to. Because most of these people, if you ask them about boring legal topics, will roll their eyes and say, we only do that shit when we have to. And they'd rather not do it at all if they could. So not having Tony in here, crazy. All right, so that was way down the list here. Quite a ways down the list, quite a ways down. Now we're at Big Tech's Ordnance podcast with a ranking of 33. The Gun Experiment with a ranking of 33. Gun Owners Radio, the California radio show, a ranking of 32. Gun Freedom Radio, both the gun radios right next to each other. Isn't that easy? Also a ranking of 32. Makes no sense. Gun Freedom Radio is one of the best podcasts out there with one of the most elaborate websites to support that podcast. Now they haven't done them anywhere near the frequency they did for a while, but when it was necessary for a few years there, they had an utmost reliable frequency of amazing guests. Definitely one of the forefront Second Amendment podcasts out there. The fact that they've got a rank of 32 has to do with the way they run their podcast and the way they do their things, but definitely weird that it's ranked so close to Gun Owners Radio, which is a great project, but so much newer and so much less involved compared to Gun Freedom Radio. Just interesting to see those two land right next to each other. Then Keep and Bear Radio, just below those two at 31 ranking. Then Gun Radio Utah, fairly new. Well, I guess it isn't new. 2016. I've never heard of it. Then we've got 2A Lifestyle with a ranking of 30. A Better Way 2A, fairly new with 39 episodes with a ranking of 30. Minnesota Gun Report with a ranking of 29. The Firing Line Radio with a ranking of 29. Our show, the Daily Gun Show, with a ranking of 28, along with 2A Cops, which is kind of cool, a show that I like to listen to. Then you get Save the Second podcast with a ranking of 27. The Armed, Black, and Ambitious with a ranking of 27. The Gun Rack, also with a ranking of 27. Second Amendment Radio, Who Moved My Freedom, all with 27s. So, yeah, that's good to know. And then Riding Shotgun with Charlie with a 26. New Hampshire 2A podcast with a ranking of 26. Range Minded podcast with a ranking of 26. Then we come down to Second Amendment Patriots Radio, Shooting Straight Radio, both with a ranking of 24. And Clover, wrapping us up with the top 10% of all podcasts on the earth, 350 million podcasts. Clover TAC, 10%, ranking of 23, 459 episodes, 10%, top 10% of all podcasts. 3,115,000 podcasts out there right now. These are the top 10 gun-related ones. Do we count them? I guess I could go through and try to count these. Here we go. I'm going to do it with an auto. So we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are non-ranked but should have been. Let's count the ranking ones. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 65-ish. This all comes around because somebody posted a list of 20, and I didn't think 20 was adequate. So we spent some time looking up 60-something Second Amendment podcasts. They're listed over here at Minuteman University. There's a video here that takes 2.5 hours to watch if you want to check them out again. If you want some commentary on all of them, so I gave you some commentary on some of them as we went through. Thanks for joining us. If there's anything else interesting happening tonight, we encourage you to check that out. Otherwise, we will be ending this one. We want to say thanks to those channel members that have been out there posting their anniversary posts. That's cool to see. People have been around for a while, supporting what we do, giving us time to work on little projects like this one that take a couple hours here and there and leave a little something behind that we can use for more conversation, for better direction, and at some point to come up with better strategy, I hope. Thanks, everybody, again, and we'll throw a commercial out here for our gear website store. We just sent some stuff out this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, right now, that got out to some people that purchase stuff over at the store. That helps us keep our lights on, so we do appreciate that. GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.